Today we'll do 2.4, solving equations with proportions. What I want to clarify is what proportions is before we start doing some examples. We're going to be solving for x like we've been doing so far, but we'll be solving for x with proportions, which means we're going to have fractions in our equation. Proportions is another word for fractions. All right, so we'll solve for x. You'll notice we'll have fractions on either side of the equation. Okay, and we'll solve for x. All right, I will be able to solve proportions, and we'll use cross multiplication to do this. Okay, it says properties of proportions. To solve a proportion, find the value of x that will make the fractions equivalent. To simplify a proportion, use cross multiplication. Okay, so what you're going to see that we are going to be doing every time is cross multiplying. Okay, what is that? What does cross multiplication mean? It means you multiply the numerators by the opposite denominators. All right, and I'll show you how to cross multiply in just a bit. But in Spanish, I'll clarify a couple of things before I do an example. Ok, so hoy vamos a resolver por X, como lo hemos estado haciendo en esta unidad, vamos a resolver por X, pero esta vez en la ecuación van a haber fracciones en cada lado de la ecuación. Solamente es igual resolver por X. Cuando tenemos fracciones en cada lado de la ecuación, vamos a hacer lo que se llama multiplicar las diagonales, ¿ok? Que se llama cross multiplication. Ok, so vamos a multiplicar las diagonales. So vamos a multiplicar las diagonales. Vamos a hacer un ejemplo para ver qué exactamente se va a ver el proceso. So let's do the first example. It says x over 9 equals 4 over 3. So again, the goal is to solve for x. We're going to cross multiply. When we cross multiply, we're going to multiply the diagonals. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator of my equation. And then I'll do the same. I'll grab this 4, which is the numerator, and multiply it by 9, which is the opposite denominator. So we're cross multiplying. All right, so we'll form kind of like an X when we kind of pair our numbers. So why am I pairing X and 3 together? Why did I circle them together? Because they're going to be multiplying together. So how do I write this to get started? Well, I circled X and 3 first, so I know that X is going to multiply by 3, and see how I surround my 3 with parentheses, okay? And then I know 9 is going to multiply with 4, or 4 is going to multiply with 9. Again, it doesn't matter how we multiply. It's multiplication. It's going to multiply. All right, so I need to go ahead and try to solve for x as best as I can. So the x and 3, they're actually right next to each other. They're multiplying. So that means it's 3x. I'm just going to write it how I usually see it with the number in the front of x. So 3x equals, well, 9 times 4. Use your calculator. It should be 36. Okay, our last step. I don't care about 3x. I want to know what x is. So that 3 shouldn't be there. I'm going to get rid of that 3 by doing the opposite. I'll divide by 3. Okay, I know 3 and x are multiplying, so the opposite is division. So I divided by 3, and I have to do it to the other side. So this 36 on the other side is going to be divided by 3. Okay, let's keep going. I bring down x. X equals, well, use your calculator, please. 36 divided by 3 is going to give you 12. And this is your final answer. We cross-multiplied. We multiplied the opposite numbers in the equation. And we set up our equation. We solved for x. Ok, para este ejemplo muy importante, estamos multiplicando las diagonales. So, x está multiplicando por 3. So, los números que yo circule, los pares que vamos a circular, van a estar multiplicando. Ok, so hay maneras que yo puedo escribir multiplicación. Como pueden ver, el x y el 3 están multiplicando. Yo con las paréntesis que puse ahí alrededor de 3, eso me indica que hay que hacer multiplicación. Van a ver que en un rato en vez de poner paréntesis, voy a poner el puntito que quiere decir multiplicación. Ok, so solamente les quiero aclarar eso. A veces pongo paréntesis, pero muchas de las veces van a ver que voy a poner el puntito entre los dos números que voy a multiplicar, o las dos partes que se tienen que multiplicar. Yo, x y 3, yo sé que van a multiplicarse. Cuando se multiplican, básicamente 3 siempre tiene que estar enfrente. El número siempre tiene que estar enfrente de la letra. Yo puse 3x en vez de el 3 del otro lado. Ok, entonces 3x es igual a 9 por 4. Lo puse en la calculadora. Me va a dar 36. Cuando yo tengo 3x es igual a 36, acuérdense que lo que busco es el valor de x, ¿ok? El 3 no debe estar ahí enfrente de x. Yo como me deshago de ese 3, está haciendo lo opuesto de lo que veo. Yo sé que 3 y x están multiplicando, lo opuesto es dividir. Yo dividí por 3 en un lado y lo tengo que hacer en el otro y aplicarlo. 36 se dividió entre 3 también. Cuando yo terminé mi problema, yo sé que x es 12, ¿ok? Porque la división entre 36 y 3 me da 12. Van a ver que los pasos se van a ver muy similar en la siguiente parte. Alright, so that's the first example. Let's do more examples here. Oops. Okay, so I'll start with this one. Solve each proportion. Let me see if I can erase that part. Oh, sorry. No, I cannot. That's okay. So let's keep going. I see fractions on either side of the equation, so I'm still going to go ahead and grab each part and do my crosses. What I'm circling is what I'm multiplying. Okay, so x and 3 are multiplying. So x is multiplying, and so instead of putting parentheses, I'm putting my dot is multiplying by 3. And it equals, then you do the other part. It doesn't matter which one comes first, 5 or 6. It really doesn't matter. But 5 is what I'm going to write first. And then I know it's multiplying with the 6. All right, on the left side of the equation, 3 and x are multiplying. So in other words, I'll just put them together right next to each other. And it's 3x. 5 times 6, multiply that in the calculator, you should get 30. All right, I'm almost done. I just need to divide by 3. That 3 in front of x shouldn't be there, so I decided to divide by 3 on both of the sides. So 30 divided by 3, use your calculator, but it should be 10. All right, let's go to the next example. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just circling my diagonals. Those are the things I'll be multiplying. So let's start with 3 and 5. 3 and 5 are multiplying, so it's 3 multiplied by 5 equals. X and 12 are multiplying. Again, it doesn't matter which one I write. I'll put 12 first, and I know it's multiplying by x. All right, so 3 is multiplied by 5, and I know when I simplify this, it's 15. 12 and x, they're multiplying. All I do is put them right next to each other. So 12 and x. 12x. All right, let's keep going. I want to know what x is, not 12x. So notice on the other side of the equation, I have x. So I'm going to get rid of that 12 that I don't need and divide by 12. So x, it doesn't matter that it's on the right side. You're still solving for x. It's still alone. X equals whatever 15 divided by 12 is. We can actually go to our calculator and get that information. So let's do that. So it says, and I'm just going to zoom in, I have to do 15 divided by 12. But I'm going to write exactly how I see it, like a fraction form, okay? Oops. So how do I do that? I'm going to go to alpha, y equals, and I'm going to hit 1. Alpha, y equals 1. So alpha, the green button, y equals, and then 1 gives you this fraction form that I'm looking at. Okay, so I'm going to write 15 at the top, so you can see 15. And at the bottom, I'll put my 12. And I'm going to put enter. Okay. So you can see it gave me 5/4. So it automatically gave me this answer in my fraction. I wrote it as a fraction, so it gave me my answer as a fraction. So it's 5/4. So x is 5/4. Depending on how the settings are in your calculator, you're either going to get 5/4 or let me change my settings and see what I can get. My mode. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. It's okay. What I'm going to do is change this problem into my decimal. It could be another possibility that you could get a decimal. Let's see. Ugh. It's a little weird. I need to make this a little smaller so I can see my everything together. What's happening? Hold on. So I'm going to click 2 for decimal, and I want my previous answer to be given to as a decimal. So I can go from fraction to decimal if I wanted to. Okay, so again, let's do what we did at first. Alpha, y equals 1 gives me the fraction form. I put 15/12. Because I'm putting it as a fraction, it's going to give me the most reduced fraction if it exists. And it did. It gave me 5/4. So that's one of the answers. But sometimes based on how your calculator is set up, it's going to give it to you as a decimal. If I wanted to know how 5/4 was as a decimal, I'm going to hit math. And I'm going to hit 2 for decimal. And what it's doing is grabbing the previous answer and it's going to change it to a decimal. And I hit enter. And I get 1.25. Okay? So if you hit math and you hit 2, it gives you your previous answer, the answer that's in the calculator as the last answer that was given. It turns it into a decimal. Okay, so 1.25 is another possible answer. Either one is correct. So x equals 1.25. Either one is fine. The fraction or the decimal, they're okay. Ok, para parte B aquí que tengo, dice que 3 y 5 tienen que multiplicarse, x y 12 se van a multiplicar, como lo pueden ver, como lo escribí. Cuando yo hice estas multiplicaciones, 15 es igual a 12x, dividí por 12, como pueden ver. Yo puse 15 entre 2 en la calculadora y me dio 5/4. Okay, hay veces que la calculadora les va a dar o un decimal o una fracción. En matemáticas, si puedes reducirme esa fracción lo más que puedas, esa es la respuesta que quiero. Okay. Decimales, es muy raro que los quiera porque son decimales. prefiero una fracción como respuesta, la verdad, una fracción simplificada, pero en este caso, cualquiera de las dos es aceptable, ¿ok? So, o la fracción o el decimal, los acepto los dos. Okay, so let's keep going. What I'm gonna do is try to move my thing here. I have another problem here, problem C, that I need to do. Okay, so 4x over 9 equals 8 over 6. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll cross multiply each part. So I'm circling what I'll be multiplying. 4x and 6 are multiplying. So 4, oops. Let me write that down. 4x is multiplying by 6. Okay, and it equals 9 times 8 or 8 times 9. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh. 8 times 9. Sorry, I'll write it as the dot times 9. Okay, so I grabbed each part, I multiplied it together. 4x times 6 and 8 times 9 is what you should have on each side of the equation. All right, so let's start with the left side. 4x is multiplied by 6. What you need to do is grab your numbers, so 4 and 6, and multiply them together. And then at the end, just write your x right next to it. So 6 times 4 is 24. Ooh, and I don't want a highlighter. I wanted my pen. So it's 24. I'll put in my x back. Equals, well, 9 times 8, that should give you 72. Again, use your calculator, please. It's very easy for you to make a mistake if you're not very careful. All right, so my last step is just to divide, right? 24 and x are multiplying, so the opposite is to divide. So I'll divide by 24 here so that x is alone, and then I have to apply it on the other side. All right, so let's go to our calculator and see if we can see any calculations here. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to... All right, so let's put 72 over 24. So alpha, what equals 1, and I get my fraction form. 72 over 24, enter, and I get 3. So x is 3. X equals 3, and I am writing this very badly. So x equals 3. That is my answer. All right. Bueno, aquí agarré cada parte igual como lo hemos estado haciendo. 4x y 6 se multiplicaron. 9 y 8 se multiplicaron, ¿ok? Cuando lo puse en mi ecuación. 4x por 6, eso me da 24x, ¿ok? Multiplicar los números juntos. So, 6 por 4 es 24. Y ya nomás al ladito puse mi x, ¿ok? 8 por 9 me dio el 72. Y mi último paso para resolver fue para dividir. So, dividí 24. Dividí entre 24. So, 72 entre 24. So, x es 3. Okay, we have a couple more problems to do. So let's keep going. I think we have the problems in the back. So let's go to... Is it... Como se ve su tarea. This is your homework. Okay, you're going to keep practicing. You have 4 problems to practice. And please check your answers. Ask for help. Okay? Good luck. Back. Yes, mine are just a little bit out of order, but this is what should be next for you guys on the back. E and F. All right, so with E, we're going to be doing essentially the same thing that we've been doing, right? Doing our cross multiplications. So I'm going to grab each part and cross it. So the things that I have circled, I'm multiplying, all right? So let's start with the first part. So this time, I have not just a number or an x that are being multiplied with something else, but I have an expression. So I have 2x minus 3 and x that are multiplying together. So 2x negative 3 and 6, those are the two parts that are multiplying. Okay, so watch how I write this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take 6, the smallest number, and I'm going to put it first, okay? So I'm going to write 6 first. Ooh, and I don't need highlighter, I just need pen. So 6, and I know I'm multiplying, so I put my dot, I'm multiplying. Just give me 1 second, maybe if I can do it a little bit bigger. There we go. And I know it's multiplying with the next part, which is 2x minus 3. So watch how I put it within this longer part. I put it inside of the parentheses. Okay. And then when I write the other part, I'm going to write equals. So I know that what I'm going to highlight is 5 and x plus 3. Okay. So the smaller number, which is 5. So the smaller part goes first. So 5 is multiplying, and see how I put the longer part of the 2 inside of the parentheses. X plus 2 goes inside. All right. This is where it starts getting a little bit more complicated because it's not just straightforward. I'll just divide by this number and then I'm done. Okay, there's a little bit of more work that's going to be involved. So let's start solving. Okay, so the point here is still to solve for x. So on the left side, let's start there. I have this 6 that needs to be distributed. So I'm going to grab 6 and I'm going to multiply 6 by 2x. And then I'm going to also multiply it by negative 3. Okay, so 6 multiplied by 2x, that's going to give me 12x. Okay, so at the top I'll write what multiplications I'm doing together. So 6 is multiplied, and I'm trying to do my best here, with 2x. And that's how I got 12, right? 6 times 2 is 12x. The other part that I did, the other multiplication, is I have to grab 6 again, and then I'm going to multiply it. Okay, so the dot for multiplication, it's so hard to do this as best as I can. So the dot for multiplication, and then it's minus 3. So please take the negative with it. So 6 multiplied by negative 3, again, use your calculator, but it should be a negative 18. All right, so the first part, I distributed this 6. This 6 was multiplied with 2x, and it's multiplied with negative 3. And this is how I get that first chunk. Let's get going with the next part. Equals, and then same thing. I'm going to take 5, what's in front of the parentheses. So that number, I'm going to grab it and multiply it by x, and multiply it by 2. Okay, so on the side, I'll do my multiplication. So I'm doing 5. So I'm doing 5 multiplied by x, okay, and that's going to give me my 5x. And then 5 is going to be multiplied by 2, so 5 multiplied by 2, and I'm going to get that 10. It's a positive 10, so I put plus 10. All right, so again, the goal is the same thing, to solve for x. So once you get to this point, once you've distributed, okay, if there's nothing that you can combine for like terms, and that's the case, I cannot combine like terms here. All I'm going to do is start solving for x. So I need to grab the smallest x that I see and move it to the other side. So between 12x and 5x, the smallest one is 5x. So I'm going to grab that one and move it to the other side. So I see a positive 5x. What I'm going to do is subtract 5x, and I'll do it on this side as well, and I put it right underneath the other x. Okay, so what I'm doing is 12x minus 5x. So go to your calculator, subtract 12 minus 5, and you'll see you'll get 7. And then I'm going to bring down what I haven't used, so that negative 18 equals, and then that 10 hasn't been used, so 10. All right, let's keep going. So I want x by itself on one side, right? That's the goal. Negative 18 is literally what shouldn't be there. Okay, it's disturbing 7x, so we need to move it to the other side. So I see negative 18. I'm going to add 18 on both sides. All right, let's bring down that 7x. We haven't used it yet, so we bring it down. 10 plus 18. Go to your calculator, please. But it should be 28. All right, last step. This is where I just divide, right? 7 shouldn't be in front of x, so I'm going to do what I can, which is divide by 7 on both sides, so it can go away. So x equals 28 divided by 7. Put in calculator. It should be 4, though. All of that work to get x equals 4, and that exactly is what I want, okay? You're going to have to distribute. That should be your first step to trying to solve for x. Distribute that number in front of the parentheses, and then move the smallest x over, okay? And then move whatever is not supposed to be there right next to x. Your last step should be dividing, okay? All right, let's do F and see what we have here. This is the last problem. Give me one moment. I'm going to explain a couple of things in Spanish, and then I'll finish F. Okay, so E. Se ve complicada porque hay varios pasos que tenemos que tomar antes de poder resolver por X. So, podemos ver aquí que tenemos 2x menos 3, que está multiplicándose con 6, sus diagonales, y el 5 y x más 2 también se están multiplicando. So, yo cuando lo escribí el número más... so, yo escribo la parte que yo circule que no tenga tanto número, pues. So, por ejemplo, entre 2x menos 3 y entre 6... el que no tiene tanto número ahí es 6. So, yo pongo 6 primero. So, si es el número solo que ves, eso es lo que pones primero. ¿Ok? So, no pongas la expresión primero. Pon solamente el número. So, yo puse 6 primero. Afuera de las paréntesis. Lo que está más larguito, ¿ok? Que tiene varios números. Eso lo pones adentro de las paréntesis. So, 2x menos 3 iba adentro. Ok, y en el otro lado de la ecuación, 5 y x más 2 se tienen que multiplicar. So, yo como lo escribo aquí en ese lado de la ecuación, primero puse 5, so, el número solo que está ahí abandonado, ese 5 lo pones primero, y luego vas a poner lo que tiene más partes, x más 2, tiene más partes, o va a ir adentro de las paréntesis. Ok. Los números que están afuera de las paréntesis, eso fue lo que distribuí y hice mis multiplicaciones, como lo pueden ver. So, yo empecé con esta parte. So, 6 se multiplicó con 2x. Y luego agarré 6 otra vez y se multiplicó con negativo 3. So, acá arribita pueden ver las multiplicaciones que hice. Cómo agarré 12x, cómo agarré ese negativo 18 haciendo estas multiplicaciones. Hice lo mismo para 5 y x, se los multipliqué, y 5 por 2 están acá arriba, esas multiplicaciones. Ok, so 12x menos 18 es igual a 5x más 10, es lo que tenía. Yo ahora estoy lista para empezar a mover cosas para poder resolver por x. Lo primero que yo siempre hago, y siempre me van a ver hacer esto, yo busco el x más pequeño entre los dos lados de la ecuación. Entre 12x y 5x, el x más pequeño es 5x. So, yo escogí ese 5x para moverlo al otro lado. Yo veo un positivo 5x en el lado derecho de la ecuación. Entonces, para moverlo al otro lado, Yo voy a hacer lo opuesto, que es restar. So, resté 5x en los dos lados, como pueden ver. Es como saco yo ese 7x. Bajé todo lo que no he usado. So, 7x menos 18 es igual a 10. Ese negativo 18 no tiene que estar ahí. Lo muevo al otro lado, hago lo opuesto, agregué 18. Empiezo a bajar todo lo demás para simplificar. Y 7x es igual a 28, es lo que tengo. Mi último paso es dividir por ese 7. Y fue exactamente lo que hice. 28 entre 7 te va a dar un 4. X es 4. So, algo muy similar en los pasos van a ver en lo que voy a hacer para la última parte. Alright, so let's grab our pencil. Let's start with F. So I'm going to cross multiply, right? I'm still cross multiplying. I'm going to grab 8 and I'm going to write it first. If I can. There we go. And then my expression is what goes inside of the parentheses. So it's 3x plus 1 equals. Then I'm going to do the other part. 4 comes first, and then x plus 6. All right, so again, the expression goes inside of the parentheses. Okay, so lo escriben donde tienen la parte que están multiplicando, la que tiene más partecitas, que es una que se llama una expresión. So 3x más 1 es una expresión, x más 6 es una expresión. Tienen letras y tienen números. Si tienen letras y números, tienen esa combinación, eso se llama expresiones. Ok, so el 8 está abandonadito, solito, no tiene nada, no tiene letra, no tiene nada más. Ese 8 siempre se pone afuera de las paréntesis. O ese número que está solito se pone afuera de las paréntesis. Ok, so 8 y 4 están solitos, se pusieron afuera de las paréntesis. Adentro van esas expresiones con las letras y los números. Okay, so I set this up. I'm going to grab 8 and I'm going to multiply it by everything inside of this parentheses with, which is in this case 3x. And then I'll grab 8 again and I'll multiply it by 1. Okay, so I'm grabbing each part and multiplying. So over here on the side, what am I multiplying? I'm multiplying 8 by 3x. So 8 times 3 is 24. And don't forget that x. I'm going to grab 8 again, and I'm going to multiply it by 1. And 8 times 1 is 8. So it's going to be a positive 8. All right, so first part is done. Let's grab 4, and let's multiply it by x. And I'm going to grab 4 and multiply it by positive 6. So 4 multiplied by x, that's how I'm getting 4x. 4 is going to be multiplied, so this is my multiplication sign, is multiplied by 6. 4 times 6 is 24, so it's a positive 24. That goes there. All right, I distributed each part. There's nothing that I can combine as like terms, so let's just move the smallest x over. So 24x and 4x, if I compare them, the smallest one obviously is 4x. I'm going to move it to the left side. So I see a positive 4x. I'll subtract 4x on both sides. And of course, I'm subtracting 4x with the other number that has x with it. So 24x minus 4x, use your calculator, you should get 20x. Let's bring down what we haven't used, which is that positive 8 and that 24 on the right side. Okay, I want x by itself. So 8 shouldn't be there. 8, I'm going to move it to the right side. I see a positive 8. I'll subtract 8. Okay, use your calculator. 24 minus 8. You should get 16. 20x equals 16. All right, last step. Let's divide by 20. I don't want 20 in front of x, so we get rid of it by dividing by that number. Okay, so x equals, whatever 16 divided by 20 is, this is where I'm going to use my calculator. There's no other way to get the answer but getting my calculator. And oops, I don't have a calculator there, so I'm just going to open up a browser with my calculator in it. Okay, so I'm doing, and Let me just move that out of the way. Then 16 over 20. Okay, perfect. Let's put it back in there. So it's 16 over 20. Oop, let me just make this a little smaller. There we go. So alpha y equals 1. This is 16 divided by 20. Enter. I get 4 over 5. Okay. You may get also another answer that's acceptable. Is 0.8. It's also correct. There's nothing that's wrong with it, okay? So it's whatever you want to give me as your answer. I accept both. If you get a decimal in your calculator, that's fine. If you get the fraction one, that's also fine. Whichever one. You don't have to give me both, but one of them is what I'm looking for, okay? So let's move this out of the way. Okay. So let's write our answers. So it's 0.8 if you want to. Oop. Oh, let me write that a little nicer. 0.8 or x equals 4 over 5, whichever answer. Ok, para esta última parte hice mis multiplicaciones. Obviamente primero distribuí. Hice donde tengo que resolver por x, o moví 4x primero al otro lado, luego moví 8 y al último fue donde dividí por 20. Yo puse 16 dividido entre 20 en mi calculadora, lo puse en modo fracción, ¿verdad? Y si nunca han visto cómo hacer esto en modo fracción en su calculadora, tienen ustedes una calculadora que pueden usar, que les damos en clase, y esa calculadora, sí, lo puedo mover un poquito aquí al lado y usarla, pero no me deja. Ahí está. Ok, so ¿cómo ponen esa fracción que buscan? Oh my gosh. Ahí está. Ok, so van a poner el botón verde, alfa, el y equals, el y, el que está como subrayadito en rojo. So, primero el verde, el que está subrayado en rojito, y luego van a ir y poner el número 1. Y eso les va a generar esa parte donde pueden poner algo arriba y van a poder poner algo abajo en su fracción. Yo puse 16 y luego puse 20 abajo. ¿Okay? So, estoy clarificando porque hay veces que no saben usar la calculadora y esto es como lo hacen. Si quieren tenerlo en modo fracción, si lo tienen que poner como modo fracción, 16 sobre 20, alfa, y equals, pónganle el número 1 y les genera esa fracción. Ok, ustedes van a seguir practicando en su tarea, creo que es